One, two, three, four.
You're listening to the Skylight Books podcast. We're an independent general interest bookstore putting great reads in the hands of people in the Los Feliz neighborhood of Los Angeles. Hosted by resident Skylighters, we're here to bring you new and exciting author conversations, group reads, and bookseller chats. Happy listening.
Hello, my beautiful listeners. I hope you're having a good day. My name is Lance, and I am a producer on the Skylit podcast. And welcome back to a new year. Today, I'm so excited to welcome Christine Bollow onto their podcast. Christine, hello.
Hello.
Listeners, you might be like, wait, this was such a short introduction, and you'll know why, because this is our HANDSELL episode with Christine. Christine, please, could you please tell our listeners, could you please tell your listeners who you are and what your role is in the book world?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you, Lance, for having me on the podcast.
My pleasure.
Very excited to be here with one of my favorite humans in the world. That's you. So I work for Loyalty Bookstores, which is a Black and queer-owned bookstore in DC and in Maryland. And I am the programs and marketing manager there. I'm also a bookstagrammer at Reading is Magical. And I serve on the bookseller advisory committee for the ABA as well. In a nutshell, that is what I do in the bookish world.
And for long-term listeners, you might have heard another episode a while ago with another bookstagrammer, Lauren Fenella, who is also a friend of both of ours, right?
Love Lauren. She is one of my bookish besties.
Shout out to Lauren. Go back and listen to her episode if you haven't. It's a great episode. But yeah, no. Christine, you have many a hat in the book industry. That's so amazing. Also to our listeners, as you might have figured out by now, me and Christine have been friends for how many years? Like, I want to say like a good 4 or 5 years.
I think about 4 years.
4 years?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
It's crazy. Oh my God. Oh, I love it.
And it was like love at first sight, basically.
Right? We literally met each other and we're like friends.
Yeah.
Nothing more.
Like,
we were
okay. I love you.
About pose in within like 10 minutes of meeting for the first time, and then we're like friends. We're good.
We're like, okay, we both like Pose. We both love the book Queenie. We both love A Little Life, The Immortalist. Like, okay,
yes.
we are kindred spirits.
and that was it. That was a tale as old as time, and the friendship never ended. And I love it. Christine, how are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. I think. It's sort of like that period of time. I know this isn't going to be airing right at the same time, but that we're recording in between the Christmas and New Year's time, and it's always for me, and I know for a lot of people, the time I and looking back on the year that happened, looking ahead, and especially with the pandemic and working in retail and just everything that's been going on, it's definitely sort of like this kind of like melancholy time, but I sort of like to lean into that. Does that make sense?
Is it snowy on the East Coast right now?
No, but it's been raining. It's been raining quite a bit.
Oh, it's raining over here too. Oh my God, look at that. It's been
cozy rain vibes.
It's been raining here for the past like 8 days straight, and I am getting sick of it. No, I'm actually happy because I got new boots, and it's just been great boot weather. So I'm like, okay, let me break in these boots I just bought.
Love
Great,
it.
thank you for that. No, but we should start talking about books because
Okay.
that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
Exactly.
So you told us your position working for the American Bookseller Association, the ABA for short. Um, if the American Bookseller Association, as many can guess, you guys represent all of us booksellers and are just, a resource for us. I know myself, I am on all your newsletters. I get all, you guys have great, just great like workshops and what's the word I'm looking for? Great workshops and
Like
resources
seminars
and
yeah.
seminars. Yeah. And just, are such an important part of the book industry. Can you talk about like your experience with the ABA and how you got into it too? Because you've been a bookseller for a while, and if you know Christine, she loves books. So this is no surprise you got into the ABA.
It's very true. I joined the booksellers advisory committee, or actually I think it's council. No, it is committee. Okay.
Woo!
I'm right. So I joined last, I believe it was August or so, September, around then. So it's been less than a year, about 6 months or so. And it was something that I applied for. And I actually also applied for the DEI committee as well. So I know there was some back and forth from what I heard about like where I would best serve, So I'm hoping that it's a 2-year commitment to be on the committee. And then I definitely am very interested in serving on the diversity, equity, and inclusion committee after that. So basically, I think they went through the people who were nominated or applied to be on the committee, and they picked based on, people from different regions across the country. They tried to pick from a variety of backgrounds, whether it's people who are owners, people who are managers, people who've been in the industry for 1 to 3 years versus 5 to 10 years, that kind of thing. And I think, with my background as a bookseller and bookstore manager, but also I'm Filipino American, I'm bisexual, I'm disabled, it's like I definitely come to this industry and this field with a variety of experiences.
Right.
So I think that's helpful for the committee.
And can you talk about your goals for being in this committee? Like within the 2 years, because you're at the beginning of the 2 years and you have a lot. I'm excited to see all the things you do, but yeah, what are your goals for your role in the committee?
I think, using the voice I have, as we know, it's a very white centric industry. Yes. A lot of the owners are white, a lot of the managers are white, cis, straight, able-bodied people. And I know that it's something that the ABA and a lot of booksellers and people in the industry are actively trying to make changes. And I want to be part of that and use the voice that I do have to help bring about positive changes and make it a more inclusive space for people.
And if anyone knows Christine, they know that you're just so involved in the bookseller world. Like, it's not like, I feel like a lot of people, I feel like it's changing now that, we're getting more connected, and we've had the Winter Institute for how long? I mean,
The like how long since we've had Winter Institute, or
yeah,
the last one that was in person was in 2020.
2020. Oh, and also like how many years has the Winter Institute been
I
around?
believe this is going to be the 16th year.
16th year.
16th or maybe 17th. It's around then.
So like in almost 20, in like, that's something that's helped get connected, even though sadly, every bookseller can't go all the time. And I mean, the ABA has offered scholarships. I was a scholarship recipient for this year. And to get like booksellers there, booksellers who are not just like, who are not managers, who don't just work events and all these, even though it's great that they get to go, so it's always so good to have just run of the mill on the floor booksellers who are doing the groundwork. But I feel like you're very connected to the bookseller world too, and that I feel like is a big part due to your bookstagramming online presence too. Can you talk a little about that?
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, Bookstagram is basically a book community on Instagram. People talk, post pictures about what they're reading, books they love. There's people who collect, beautiful editions of books. So I joined in 2017, I think. And at the time, I was recently diagnosed with osteoarthritis. I was having really bad chronic pain issues. I had to quit my job at the time, and my life was just getting smaller and smaller. And reading was one of the only things I could do that wasn't causing pain. And to make my world feel bigger again. And I decided, I had followed a couple accounts, and I was like, maybe I'll just start a Bookstagram account. And I mean, it really saved my life in a lot of ways. And it changed my life completely, because before that, I didn't work in the book world. I was doing real estate. And then before that, I taught Pilates, I did acting and dance. So like I've always been a reader, but and at the time I was volunteering for a Friends of the Library bookstore. So that was really my only experience like in a bookstore type of atmosphere. But yeah, with Bookstagram, it really helped me broaden the kinds of books I read. I've made amazing friends from all over the country, all over the world. I actually, a couple of years ago, did a Bookstagram vacation. I think like 12 or 13 of us from different parts, different states. We all met up in Portland, Oregon, and like had a long weekend, and we just went to bookstores and hung out, and it was so much fun. And it really contributed to me getting into book selling too, through Bookstagram.
And I mean, I feel like, and I said this before when I was talking to Lauren, I mean, bookstagramming feels like, not feels like, it is in the book selling world already, because you guys are, talking, you guys are, I feel like in a way that bookstores had to catch up to, we're already talking about books on social media, and people are going to a lot of you guys to like figure out what they should be reading. And like the same way that I feel like some people follow people who like the same kind of movies they like, or same kind of music. They were looking for you guys to be like, oh, I like this person's taste in books, let me keep following them. And that's a lot of good work for publishers and authors, especially authors, because sometimes it's books that aren't getting noticed that you guys are promoting and are doing the groundwork there. So I mean, and it's crazy you were doing that before. If you know Christine, this is crazy that you were doing this before you were even a bookseller. And I mean, look where you are now. It's just,
yeah,
and only like,
I mean, it changed my life. It really did.
And that's the power of reading. No, so yeah, have you put your history as on social media with as a bookstagrammer into your work at the ABA?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, sorry. Have you
I
put like, no, you're good. Have you put like what you've learned and even like what you have grown through your social media and being a bookstagrammer into your work at the ABA or want to?
Yeah, I actually did a like a marketing social media class last summer through the ABA. I was one of the panelists for it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool. And I got to, talk a lot about Bookstagram and,
Mm-hmm.
personally, and then also just because I run the social media for loyalty as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of the experience I have with Bookstagram as my own person has
Mm-hmm.
informed the work I do as a bookstore at the bookstore. And
Mm-hmm.
then also just in connecting with other people through the ABA and, through the committee and that kind of thing.
Oh,
And I think it's something that I think, it's such a strong community, and the bookstores, independent bookstores are amazing because it's a community as well. And I
mm-hmm.
think sometimes for stores, there can be a disconnect in figuring out how to connect the social online community with the in-person community, especially these last couple of years with so much being virtual.
Right.
And I think, with the experience I've had, I definitely like to encourage people to think about it as like a extension
Mm-hmm.
of what's happening in person or what has happened in person. Like there's a way to connect with other readers and other people, even if you can't
Mm-hmm.
be in person like
Oh,
you have in the past.
right. And that's, oh my God. I want to take a second, guys, to just gush over Christine for a second because this is, I mean, and we first met in Denver, and I think before you were a bookseller, I sold you a book, right? And
Yep.
I mean, I mean, like from there to here, I got to be friends with you through all of that too. Oh my God, it's been such
I
a pleasure.
know.
I just,
I remember because I had gone into this bookstore. I was
mhm,
thinking about moving to Denver at the time.
mhm.
And I remember you checked me out and you were like, "Oh, are you a member?" And I said, "No, but I don't live here, but I might be." And you're like, "Well, I could always just sign you up, and if you move here, and then you'll be part of the membership." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, now that I met you, I definitely want to move." And then when I started working there, and everyone's like, "Oh, Lance," and I was like, "Oh my God, it's the same person." And
Oh my
it was just
God.
like meant to be.
And I
I love
think,
you.
and it's so funny because I moved away when you got there. But then
Mhm.
we met I think when I visited in the winter, and that was it. That was it. There was nothing more. There was nothing more needed. That was it.
Mhm.
And it just I'm sorry listeners, you're just hearing us just
Just
gush over
some
each other. Just very we this is, I mean, we're in like what, 8 group chats where all we do is just say how much we love each other all the time.
pretty
That's it.
much.
Pretty much. Shout out to also our mutual friend Abby, who
Yes.
was on the podcast before. You can go back and listen to her episode as well. Shout out to her and her newborn baby.
Yay.
Um,
Love Abby.
but no, all right, enough of that. Enough of our sweet, our sweet friendship, talking to each other.
Our little love
Um,
interlude.
I want to also, and I want to also talk about your time at Loyalty Bookstore, which, as I told you before, I am so jealous that you get to work at such an amazing. I'm so happy for you first. I should say that to the listeners. I'm happy first, jealous second that you get to work at such an amazing bookstore. And that you started at over the pandemic too, which is, and you started the remote, right?
Yeah, I worked
Mm.
remotely for about a year,
Oh, wow.
and then a year and a half. A
Mhm.
year, I don't know. I don't know
Time
what
time
time
means
is right
nothing.
now.
It means nothing.
It's wibbly wobbly.
It's all wibbly wobbly.
So I was there for about a year remotely, and then
Mhm.
I was living in Colorado, in Denver,
Mhm.
and basically, so Hannah Oliver Depp is the owner of Loyalty. Anyone
Mhm.
in the book selling world is probably knows her or is familiar with Hannah. She's just like one of the best people ever. I'm so grateful to be working with such a wonderful person.
Shout out to Hannah.
Shout out to
Shout out to
Hannah.
Hannah.
Hey.
Hey.
So she, so, you know, was that last year? No, that was, what year is
It
it?
would have been 20. So it was last year because it would have been 2020.
Okay,
But I mean,
so
like,
yeah.
like almost 2 years.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
So the summer of 2020,
Mhm.
you know, the racial reckoning, everything
Mhm.
happening with the
Mhm.
protests with George Floyd, and a lot of,
Mhm.
you know, people and places
Mhm.
really coming to terms with everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there was so
Um,
much. There was so much
so
to.
so much.
Mhm.
So I had I had resigned from my previous position, and Hannah, I think, knew that I was looking for a new position.
Mhm.
And you know, as a Black-owned bookstore,
Mhm.
a lot of places started, you know, really saying buy from Black-owned
Yeah.
stores, Black-owned
Mhm.
bookstores, which is great,
Mhm.
but they you know, all of a sudden they had thousands of orders, and all these books, these anti-racist literature
Yeah.
books, were out of stock, were back
Mhm.
ordered. And sorry, white people, but you know, if you can't
I'm
get the
out.
book that you want to read to prove that you're not racist, and then
Mhm.
you yell at a bookstore run
Yeah.
and owned by Black people that you didn't get the book in time, like that's not doing what you think it should be doing.
Nope. And
So
especially if it's books about anti-racism, and then
yeah,
there's
so
this that's a whole nother podcast
it's a whole other
episode.
thing. I know I opened up a can of worms there, but
No, I mean a can
basically
of worms that needs to be opened.
basically, you know, because at the time I think there were only a few people working remotely with
Mhm.
Loyalty. They were closed. So Hannah uh, brought me on to do marketing and
Mhm.
events, and we were like, okay, you know, it's remote, let's just do 3 months and see what happens. And then after like 2 weeks, we were like, lol, just kidding, we love each other, we work really well together, let's make this
Love
last
it.
forever.
Yes.
And then yeah, after about a year or so,
Mhm.
I luckily my husband Mike was on board to move across the country
Mhm.
and for my job, for Loyalty, so I
Mhm.
could be with them forever.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. And like, I mean, the work you've done there, especially this, I think of this past spring when there was a lot of anti-Asian American hate too. And you got to, I remember seeing you just doing so much through Loyalty, through all the work there, but still, and like, still also promoting like, um, pro, like, pro black, pro queer, just work and books and authors and showing them off too. It feels like Loyalty, and please correct me if you think differently, but I don't think you will. Loyalty is like the model of what bookstores should be becoming, even though it feels like this should have been bookstores the entire time, but like it feels like Loyalty is ahead of the game in a lot of ways. How, I mean, and this is me being like, don't be humble, be super braggy, but like, how do you see that at Loyalty? I mean, it just sounds like you guys are just you think more about, less about the numbers and more about the people.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. You know, to work somewhere where the owner treats the staff like
Mm-hmm.
humans, where their lives matter more than the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Hannah likes to say there is no such thing as a bookstore emergency.
Uh-huh.
The safety of our staff,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's mental health, you know, physical safety, is way more
Mm-hmm.
important than getting sales for a book.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we do in the store, but I'll specifically talk about my role.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything I do, whether it's the programming, what books I highlight for pre-order campaigns,
Mm-hmm.
the people, you know, we will promote in various ways. I take time to think about it. Does it align with the mission of loyalty? Which, you know, are we centering Black, Indigenous, people of color
Mm-hmm.
authors? Are we
Mm-hmm.
centering queer authors, disabled authors, you know, folks who normally aren't centered at predominantly, you know, white bookstores? Um, like that's the goal. So when I book events, you know, if it's a white author who we really like, or even, you know, if they're queer or disabled but white, we try to make sure, okay, can they be in conversation with someone who is Black or Asian?
Mm-hmm.
You know, does that, obviously it all needs to make sense,
Right.
but you know, that's something I just think about in
Mm-hmm.
everything that I do.
And I feel like what, especially what you just said there, a lot of people would be like, wait, but that doesn't like that. How does that work? Having a white author interviewed by a Black author or Indigenous author or Asian author. It's like, yeah, but they still write books. Like they still read books. Like what? Like it's that thinking that like a lot of people are like, oh, what? It's those authors are only going to know topics about Black people or
Mhm.
their race, their gender, their sexuality. It's like, no, they read books. Everyone
Right.
reads books. Like, and like a lot of these authors of color and um, also like have like most of America and American culture had to learn like what these white authors are writing about before they could read authors of
Mhm.
color, authors of different sexualities and so on and so on, so on and so forth. And they like, so they are maybe more expert, they might be experts
Mhm.
on this more than others because a
Right.
lot of those authors too had to break away from that mentality to like write what they need to write. And I feel like that's, you know, that's great. What you just said there made 100% sense to me because we need to stop the division there of like white authors
Mhm.
can only talk with white authors about their books because it's blah blah blah. And
Right.
like I just watched the show Love Life, the season 2 of it.
Oh, I just started that show.
It's
Oh,
so good. It's so good.
amazing.
But they do a good job of talking about the publishing agency
Mm.
and editors who are like editors of color and what does that mean for them working in again a predominantly white business and like having clients and authors who are they want to promote who are Black or indigenous or authors of color, authors of who are telling stories that are different and being like, oh, but they have to match up to what the white authors are writing. And it's like, no, they should it's if you haven't, this is a shout out to Love Life season 2. Watch it.
So
It's
good.
amazing. It's
So good.
crying every episode, but like they watch it also to see how it's a very important thing they talk about in the publishing agency. So
Mm.
check that out. But I interrupted you. Please go
Oh,
on
that's
about.
okay. Well, I think too, you know, it's okay to say no to things. There
Mhm.
have been quite a few instances where we were approached by a publisher, publicist about a
Mhm.
book that could have made us, you know, a good amount of money with book sales,
Mhm.
but it did not align with Loyalty's mission. It didn't make sense. You know, I'm not gonna name names,
Yeah.
because it wasn't like they're a bad author
No.
or something, but
Right.
it didn't make sense.
Mhm.
You know, if an author or if a book like doesn't, you know, if they don't even like have any Black friends, you know what I mean? Like, you know.
I know. If you could see my face right now, listeners.
Yeah.
I know.
But you know, if there's other authors who maybe, you
Mhm.
know, they're white and cis and straight and all of that, but like it's someone who they are a vocal ally
Yeah.
in a lot of things, or you know,
Mhm.
they're an author who the staff really loves and supports. Like we know,
Mhm.
okay, maybe they are someone who's usually going to be promoted at other stores, but we really
Right.
like them. So it's like, you
Mhm.
know, all those little things go
Yeah.
into each decision.
Yeah.
And it feels
And
good.
yeah, and it feels like, proud. You get to be proud of like knowing that, oh, my story is going to make the right decision there. That's great.
Mhm.
No, that's
I do
fantastic.
feel good about that. And we have for our virtual programming, we have a ticket as donation model.
Mhm.
So it's sliding scale starting at $1. And most of the events, it's either the ticket sales will go to the nonprofit of the author's choice,
That's so
or
great.
to Black Lives Matter, the
Mhm.
DC chapter. And we
Oh,
actually raised like $30,000 last year
mhm.
for Black Lives Matter in
And are you
DC.
guys are you guys still doing virtual events so people who are
Mhm.
listening can tune in too? That's great.
Yeah,
So check them out at Loyalty. Is it Loyalty Bookstore or Loyalty Bookshop? I always get it.
it's Loyalty Bookstores with an
Stores.
S.
Yeah.
It's plural.
Loyalty Bookstores. Check them out online. Loyalty. I just say Loyalty because I'm just
That's
like
fine. Yeah,
I feel like I'm in the inn. I'm just like,
you
do you guys
are.
know Loyalty? No, that's fantastic. What would you say to, because I feel like there's definitely in there, it might have like slowed down since last summer, well, the summer 2020 summer, but like I feel like there's still bookstores who want to like, you know, make a similar model to Loyalty there, and but they don't know how. They don't know how, and they're scared to, make the wrong move sometimes. So like as a person who's worked at Loyalty for over a year and a half close to, and approaching 2, but like who's worked there for a while, and might have some pointers, what would you say to them?
I think you know, if you're not already quote unquote doing the work,
Mhm.
start.
Yeah.
If you are, what else can you do? You know, because a lot of it, I'm trying to.
No, I'm sorry. No,
No,
no.
but it's like, look at the makeup of your store.
Yeah.
Is there anybody there who is Asian, who is
Mhm.
Indigenous? You know, are there trans employees on your staff?
Mhm.
Is the whole management team white? You know,
Mhm.
I think taking the time to really step back and look at that, you know, is a really important sort of first step.
Mhm.
You know, are the hiring practices you're doing, are they encouraging people of color to apply
Mhm.
for a job there? Um, it's, you know, it's tricky because this is a white supremacist society, and this and this industry is very white, as we've talked
Yeah.
about, and it's like you
Oh yeah.
really have to make the extra effort to work against that.
Yeah.
And I think you know, talking, like I mean, there's just like so much you can do. How much time do we have, Lance?
I mean, listen, I'm here. I'm ready. I'm like, let's go. Let's
Right?
No, I mean, but everything you're saying, I mean, also everything you're saying it needs to be said. It needs to be said, but it's also been said so many times. Like it's nothing new. There's nothing
Yeah.
there's nothing new. Hire more people of color. Hire people, hire trans people, hire
Mm-hmm.
queer people, hire I mean that's be loyalty. Be more like loyalty. Be as close to loyalty as you possibly can be is what I'm saying. I'm ready.
I mean, I agree. Like I will say, okay, here's a specific example of something that, you know, when so last or the beginning of 2021, our first event was January 6th with Robert Jones Jr. and Alexander Chi. And, you know, we are in DC, and that, you know, we closed the stores early because most of the staff is Black and brown. And we wanted to make sure everyone got home safely.
Right.
And we, you know, we checked in with Robert and with Alex about if they wanted to still do the event. We did still do the event. It was very cathartic and emotional, and really like a beautiful space to sort of come together after a really hard, like crazy, upsetting day.
Yes.
That's just sort of a prelude. I don't know. Okay, that wasn't what I meant to talk about, but it, you know, it like
There's
that
so
was what
though.
set the tone.
Yeah.
And then, you know, in April, when there were the shootings in Atlanta and a rise in hate crimes against the Asian community, I was really struggling. It was really hard for me to focus. I mean, I'm, you know, getting teary just thinking about that time period. And Hannah basically was like, you need to take some time off for yourself so that you can like rest and take care of yourself. And so I got a few days of paid time off for my mental health. And I think that that's something, you know, bookstores don't make a lot of money. No. It's really easy. You know, we're all really busy. We all have a lot to do. And I think it's really easy to just focus on trying to make more money in the sense that we all need to survive, bookstore owners included.
Right.
And, you know, I think taking the time to step back and realize that people's mental health is more important than selling another book. You know, that's how you get the loyalty.
Yeah.
No, you know, wink, no wink. Pun intended, from your staff and from your community, by taking care of the people. And I think that ultimately is something that is what other bookstores should be doing and can be doing. And if they already are, you know, how can we do more of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's because the booksellers are they're the ones bookselling, you know what I mean? They're the ones, so we got to take care of each other in this industry. And I feel like more so than a lot of other like industries, it's very like there's a community of booksellers helping booksellers. We are very connected with each other. We make sure that we know each other because we're all fun and cool people. And but like we also make sure that like we're all supporting each other. We're all, I mean, there's a lot of bookstores unionizing right now. Skylight Booksellers Union, follow us online. And you know, we're just making sure that we support each other, and we're keeping an eye out for each other, and we're like stuff like that. We're making sure that like we're all in it together. No, that's, I mean, even what you were saying about January 6th last year, God, it's almost a year. Isn't that crazy? It felt like 18 years ago.
It really does.
By the time this episode airs, it'll be over a year. It'll be like a year and a week or something like that. But it's, I mean, that was a day for, I remember people coming in to buying a lot of political science books, a lot of books on that. And like,
Mm-hmm.
but like, you know, we're also dealing with that as booksellers. And I mean, I think like the ABA has did a lot of things for that, and they did had a lot of resources for booksellers on what to do about that. And you know, it's very important. It's very important. Although all these spaces are very important for people
Mm-hmm.
in the community as well. But no, it just, and I'm so glad to hear that you guys had that event and were able to, like, you know, make space for people to have emotions as well, because
Yeah.
that's what's so important. I mean, can you talk about like the events like that you guys do?
Yeah. You referred to this earlier. One of the things I'm most proud of was last spring doing,
Mhm.
or was it May? I think
Not
doing
last.
the fundraiser event for,
Mhm.
we raised money for Stand Up for, or what is it? Stand Up for AAPI.
Yes.
And we raised money for a few different organizations,
Mhm.
like a legal fund, that kind of thing. And we had, I was, okay. I will not be humble right now. I was really freaking proud of myself,
You
Lance.
should
Like,
be, and you
I
should
mean,
be.
the lineup was
Oh my
incredible.
god, I remember
I
this
mean,
lineup.
we had like Clint Smith, we had Min Jin Lee, we had
Oh,
Kali Fajardo Onstein, we
yes.
had Jamie Attenberg, we
Oh
had
my god.
like Alyssa Cole, we had oh my gosh, Alicia Rai. Like, it was
Mm.
an amazing event, and we had
Mhm.
about 17 or 18 authors do a brief reading. Ara Kwan. I mean,
Oh,
it was incredible.
I mean,
And
wow.
we've raised like I know we raised like over $5,000 from that event. And
Oh my god.
Tracy Thomas of the Stacks podcast
Mm.
was gracious enough to host it.
Oh,
Um, and it's one of those things where taking the pain and anger and all these emotions going on from not feeling safe in your own country, which I know is something that you've had to experience a lot, and like,
mhm.
how to take all those feelings and put it to something positive,
Right.
not like toxic positivity, but in like a way that's productive and can be healing for the community. And it's like something I'm so proud of, the work that I did for that. And yeah, that's it was so good. And people could still watch it. Loyalty, we almost all of our events are available to rewatch on our Crowdcast channel. um
That's,
it was an
and I mean,
incredible event. Yeah.
well, and I'm so sad about this, but we have to wrap up now. But the last thing I want to ask you, Christine, and
Mm-hmm.
listeners, you're in for a special treat, because when I tell you Christine is amazing at this, just take my word for it. Christine, can you please tell us what you're reading right now? And I know that it's not one book. It's probably not 5 books. It's probably upwards of 10. But let's say, what are the top 5 books you're reading right now?
Okay.
Mhm.
I just finished Portrait of a Thief by Grace
Ooh.
D. Lee. It comes out next year in April, I believe. It's so good. It's got like so the premise is basically Ocean's 11 meets The Farewell. So there's heist.
What are you
It's
crying?
I know. And it's like a love letter to children of the diaspora, specifically Chinese and Chinese American um, people, and
Mhm.
stealing back what artifacts that have been stolen from
Mhm.
museums, in museums. It's so good. I think that's going to be a really big book next year. It's really beautiful. And then in a different a different kind of genre. I read The Wedding Crasher recently, which also is coming out next year, by Mia Sosa. Latinx fake dating romance.
I love it. I love it.
It's so good.
It sounds like all the rom. It sounds like the rom-com we need. But
It's
like book form.
phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
I'm
Definitely
excited.
a delightful romp of a book. And then, okay, can I just say two more real quick?
Of course. Of course,
Okay,
Christine.
so one more that's coming out next year. You know, book selling, you read all the advanced stuff.
Yeah.
Part of the Emily St. John Mandel Cinematic
Ooh.
Universe, Sea of Tranquility. So freaking good.
Ooh, yes.
I loved it. I think anyone who's a fan of her work will be in for a big treat. It made me appreciate her other books, Station 11 and The Glass Hotel, even more so. And I want to go back and reread those, and then reread Sea of Tranquility again. And then one that came out this year, reissue or revised reissue is Long Division by Kiese Layman, who's one of my favorite authors.
And that's that's my God. I mean, that's a great book. If you can go to the book, you can go grab it right now at your local bookstore. So
it's so good. I think he originally wrote it in like 2013 it came out, and then he you know, anyone who's a fan of Kiese has probably heard him talk about like revising his work, and this book he rewrote it, or at least parts of it. I'm not sure the changes.
For people who are like trying to still figure out, it's like when a director comes out with their director's cut. It's like they get to like go back and be like, oh, I wanted to change this way. I wanted to like maybe make this part a little smooth or something like that. Like, so
that's a great way to put it.
It's just making a great book better, right? That's it.
It's such a great book. Highly recommend if you haven't read it yet. Kiese is like one of my favorite authors ever.
Well, I mean, wow. I mean, guys, and if you want more, if you're like, wow, maybe I should get more, Christine, could you share your social media handle so they can follow you as well?
Yes. So I am at Reading is Magical on Instagram. And I'm barely on Twitter, but I'm there if you want to like be friends. It's Readings Magical. And then I also run Loyalty's social media, and it's Loyalty Books on Instagram and on Twitter.
And check. You should follow all three, guys.
Yes.
No, Christine, this has been so amazing, so much fun.
Good.
It's so great to see your face after
a
long pandemic.
I know, it's so good to see you. I'm so honored to be here with you. Thank you.
I'm so honored you came on our podcast. And is there anything you'd like to say to our listeners and just the book community as a whole?
Oh my goodness. I think to the listeners, like, shout out to you for listening to a literary podcast and supporting my dear friend Lance.
That's me.
You're beautiful. Thank you. And then to the, book selling community, like, it's been a really hard couple years, and I'm proud of you for making it through this and continuing to, do this work that's important. And just to acknowledge, like, we've been through a lot and it's exhausting. And I just want to like give you a virtual pat on the back and a hug. And seriously, like, if you ever need anything, like for booksellers, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to talk and connect. If there's anything I can do for authors, like, I love supporting debut authors, especially authors of color, queer authors, especially Filipino authors. I like making friends and I like supporting people, and I think that you are special, and that is you who are listening to this right now.
And let's just say all of us would be lucky to have Christine as a friend. I know I am. I know I am. Well, listeners, thank you for coming back, or thank you for coming back if you are coming back to listen to another episode. I think this is going to be my first recorded episode for the new year. So happy new year. Thank you for coming back in 2022. But also for if you're first time, thank you for coming at all. Check out our 2021 podcast, but also be excited for our 2022 lineup. You've probably heard a few, but we have a lot more coming your way, and I'm excited for you to hear it. But to all of you, I hope you have a wonderful and lovely rest of your day. Do something nice for yourself, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Skylight Books podcast series. Please don't forget to visit our website at skylightbooks.com and make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast for more author talks and bookseller conversations. You can find us on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. Stay safe and healthy, and we hope to see you back in our store soon.